This first session, I'm going to be inputting with you, with inputting things to you. You're going to be learning a little bit more in the very first session. And then it's going to become our vocabulary that we will talk with. And the rest of the sessions are going to be more interactive. Does that sound good to you guys?
Sure.
And I I want you all to get to know each other a little bit. Uh, you can talk to each other in the chat, but I think I'm going to suggest that we talk out loud instead of by chat. And we'll figure it out as we go along because this is our first session. And I'll tell you something. Uh, I was a little nervous to do this, so I want you to know that I'm excited to be sharing this with you all. But then I turned my nervousness into excitement, and now I'm just plain old excited. So I see some people in the chat already. Danica saying hello, good morning. Megan, hi all, and thank you, Karen. Grateful I'm so happy. You're a very vetted group. Everybody here is like good souls, good people, and a very safe group for everybody to open up and share and be vulnerable with. So I made sure that I didn't even announce this to my full list. I hand selected you guys. So I wanted to do that because my ultimate goal for this is that you really do open up and share. And I think in order to make that happen, I wanted to make sure that the group was extremely vetted. So, and some of you might know each other from Mastermind and everything. And if not, you'll get to know each other. So, first things first. Hey, everybody. And thanks for joining How Not to Waste Your Life Group Coaching. Okay, I know that's not the name, but that's basically what this is. Although I do wonder, as a marketing person, if I had called it that, if that would even be more appealing, how not to waste your life. Um, I'm here to help you make sure that when you're on your deathbed, you're not listing a bunch of I wish I had. So I'm going to be sharing a range of mortality motivated strategies to inspire you to enjoy a well-lived life. And these mortality motivated strategies are backed by research. Studies report that death awareness is an inspiring live now button. There's like a range of studies, but to save time, I'm not going to read through them all, but just know that there are a range of studies about this. And consistently, these studies report that when you embrace the undeniable fact that you're not going to be here forever, suddenly every decision, relationship, and leap is infused with more bravery, urgency, and passion. So, speaking of bravery, urgency, and passion, I'd like you all to share a little bit about yourself, where you live, and what areas of your life that you're most excited to work on in these 8 sessions. I'm going to go from what I see as my top, and hopefully I'll remember because sometimes Zoom moves it around as you're going through it. Melissa, would you like to start and share a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Karen. Yes, sure. I'd love to. So I'm Melissa Lyons. I live in Kingsville, Ontario, Canada, south of the United States, which is always a fun thing to share because everyone thinks Canada is always north of the United States. And in terms of the areas of my life that I want to work on, I'm really working on letting it just unfold. So I don't really have a specific attachment to any outcome other than I want to discover things that I haven't really looked at or see them from new perspectives. I would say that's what I'm looking for. Something that's going to give me more insight into myself.
I love that. That's great. Well, you've come to the right place. We're definitely going to be getting into that. Laura, would you like to share a little bit about
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah. Hello. I don't know if you can see me because I cannot see how my.
Oh, I see you. I see you're wearing like a maroonish shirt.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, if you can see me, that's okay. Okay. Hi from friends to everyone. I've been in your group for a while, and that's why I just continue because I know there is always something I can learn from or get insights. And beyond that, death is a huge topic in my life. I am not afraid of death, not at all. And especially last 2 years, several people were dead, and I was confronted with their fears, with their topics, how they did things. And I like to get just more inspiration, if you can speak about inspiration when it comes to death. But also, I have been working a lot the last month about ancestral healing, not only for myself, but also the ancestral healing for the humanity. And that's involved with death also, of course. So I'm looking forward what the connection will be, what it will be bring inside me. And I'm very curious about the common topic we will undoubtedly all have.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and probably it will be topic where perhaps I have a blind spot. So I
Mm,
am excited to see
yeah.
what will come up.
That is the joy of group coaching, where
Yeah,
together we become smarter and more inspiring, and it like is the momentum of the group.
yeah.
So glad to have you on board. Bonnie, you're next. Share a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm a retired nurse in southern New Jersey, Ocean City. Um, I spent probably the last dozen or so years taking care of parents and my aunt, and I love doing that. It was a privilege, and they've passed. And my mom passed during the pandemic, and the doctor that I worked with, he died of pancreatic cancer. There's just been a lot of death in the last several years of my life. And I decided not to go back to work. I opened the practice with him. He was gone, and I decided that was it. I was lucky enough to do that. But I kind of don't have a purpose now, and I don't want to live the next however many years I have not having a meaningful, purposeful life. I always have lived a life of service. So I suppose I just want to find where I fit now. That's
Great.
it.
I love it. I'm sure a lot of people relate to that. PJ, share a little bit about yourself.
Hi, good morning. I'm glad to be in such lofty company. I am a Connecticut transplant to Florida. My parents asked me to come down here in 2015 um, to build a relationship with them based not on need because they were entering their 80s and they knew that they would need me at some point. So Bonnie, I totally get the taking care of stuff. I helped my dad and my mom through their transitions, and now I have my own transition with a cantankerous sibling. So I get to work on uh,
Mm,
really reinforcing healthy boundaries and separating, allowing that relationship to die its own natural death and moving on from there and using it as a really as a springboard to and a motivator, very strong motivator to live the life I love. By some miracle, the house that I had to sell that I loved when I had to move in with mom to take care of her a few years back came back on the market, and I am back in the home that I love. I was able to buy
great.
it. It has the extra acre that
I
I had
love,
wanted. It's just I'm here and I feel at home.
I
And so
love it.
that's wonderful because I had been living with the ghosts of parents past and
Mhm.
family events past and in the parents' condo, which is now for sale. If anybody's interested, beautiful waterfront property on the Intercoastal Waterway, best sunsets you've ever seen. And this is my Flash cat who believes that he is interested also in moving on. Come on now, Flashy. He's a little vocal, so I may be muting myself out, but I'm glad to be here with all of you, and I look forward to changing challenges into opportunities and
I
just
love
flipping
it.
that script and moving on with my jam.
Great. Great to have you on board, PJ.
Thank you.
Next, I think in my browser is, oh, it's hard to tell. Hold on a second. Gabrielle, Gabby.
Sorry, my husband's just knocking on my office door telling me I've got a coffee outside, which is nice. I'm in England, and I've been in Carrinsville for a while. So I'm a cancer recovery coach. I'm a 17-year survivor. Um, and really, I think for my personal development, what I'm looking at is getting more visible because I'm putting myself out there on social media and I'm still quite tentative about it. And I wasn't really going to share this because I've not shared it with many people, but I am estranged from my son for nearly a year now. And that kind of feels like a living bereavement. And I've been really struggling with that, and not seeing the grandchildren has been really tough.
We'll talk about that. We'll deal with that. And I want you to, and again, know this, well,
Thank
you know, a
you.
lot of the people here, it's a very safe space.
Sure.
I want everybody to get a
Yeah.
lot of
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you for sharing that. Faith, you're up next.
Good morning. I am in Delray Beach, Florida. And when I was growing up, when I was 8, my father died in a plane crash. My stepfather, I witnessed him die at 13. And my first semester in college, my professor had us all write our own obituary. By the time I was in my early 20s, I have a Rolodex of people on the other side that have died of murder, drugs, suicide, AIDS, you name it. So death has always been in my life. So I've lived my life pretty much like there is no tomorrow, but I forgot to plan for the tomorrows that did come. So now that I'm old, that's a part of my problem. So yeah, that's
Well, I'm
my
glad to have you here.
death.
And Faith wrote a very funny book about all of her crises that she went through. So she deals with everything with humor, which I love and respect. So okay, next, Sheila. Share a little about yourself.
Hi, I'm Sheila, and I'm in Ontario, Canada, and I have also been in the mastermind with Karen and I think Laura previously. So it's nice to see some faces again. And in the last few months, I've actually had a lot of loss and had a big birthday. But I just feel like I'm really questioning life. Like, what's the point? So there's a big part of me that says, what is the point? And then there's a big part of me that's saying, or maybe not as big a part, that's saying, well, you better get your butt in gear if this is what you want to do. Also really feeling that there might be a career change for me. I'm a therapist, really being guided into more the intuitive healing, medical intuition, energy healing. So
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of us, like at this age that we're sort of all kind of wiggling around in the same age range, feel like what's next? What is, is this it? What's the meaning? Why are we here? And we're ready.
Yeah.
But this is the time that we really kick it up a notch, I think. And I'm here to help you to do that.
Thank you.
Liz, you're next.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Let's see. So I could pretty much say that my life has been on hold for the past 3 or 4 years. I got hit with a double whammy of big things. And so I'm just so happy to have been invited at the right time to sort of kickstart, like you said, get going in life again. And so that's what I'm so interested in. And I've worked with Karen a bit in the past, and I know how fabulous she is and creative and giving. So I'm super excited to be here with all of you.
I'm so happy that you're here, Liz.
Thank you.
Deborah, you're next. Share a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone. I am I'm a book writing coach, story expert, and Hollywood screenplay consultant. Been doing this for over 25 years, and so grateful to be in this group. I live in Los Angeles, California. Yes, I was very close to the wildfires. That kind of, puts a shocker and a wake-up call in your life. I'm at a place where I am finally on path and on purpose, I said, and I'm older now, and I'm really looking at this is it's exactly what Karen wrote, like bravery, urgency. And I'm like, how can I be braver every day? How can I create more urgency? Because I've spent my life helping other people, and now it's my time. And I really, really, everything's in place to build my business right, everything. And it's like, I want to take some serious, uncomfortable steps like every day to really like you said, what did you say? Somebody said, like, kick it up a notch. I want to
Yeah.
kick it up 10 notches. It's time. So I'm so grateful to be in this group.
Okay, great. I love it. Well, get ready to have your notches kicked. Um, Yasmin, you're next.
Hi, I'm Yasmin. My voice is kind of messed up. Um, I am in the DC metro area and I've known Karen for a while. We we're we haven't had a chance to really get together and kind of have more quality time, but Karen's an amazing person, and so I've just been following her with everything that she's doing. Um, I am really hoping to transform where I'm at in life and myself because I've just been going through so many difficult things. Um, and one of the most um, traumatizing things that I've gone through just happened recently. Last year, I just found out my husband was cheating. So it's like your whole life is in question. You don't have a past. Your present is chaos. Your future is kind of like just a big question mark. You just don't have any ground to stand on. So I feel like Karen just offered this at the perfect timing because I've just been in such a haze that I don't even know how to start over and even figure out my own identity. So I'm excited to meet everybody, and I'm sorry if I missed anybody's introduction. I hope we can connect as we go along.
In the community, I'm figuring out how to use the community, but I'm going to have ways that people can connect and have like accountability buddies and good conversations and coaching in between and all of that. So next, I'm looking. Megan.
Hey, hi everyone. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for doing this. Yeah, exquisite timing. I can relate to that. Um, I resonate with this theme for a very long time. And it's like it's the journey, not the destination, although there's a certain milestone that we will all come to in this lifetime. And I'm at a crossroad, I just wrapped up a big project that I was working on for the last 2.5 years, literally finished it last Friday. So I've been aware for a while that I'm regaining bandwidth, and it's one of these precious junctures where been at this juncture before. It's like, okay, do I focus on my thing or say yes to inevitably some offer comes in that is very enticing and I go help other people with their thing? That's been a theme in the past. Um, so I just really want to make the most of this moment that I'm at of doing my work and some things that I felt really called to for a long time, specifically around using my voice. And I want to harness the energy of this process to really support that. That's what I feel this is going to be really beautiful for.
Great. Yeah, a lot of what we'll be doing is helping you to get more in touch with to help you become you-ier is how I worded it before, but get in touch with who you are, what you want, and make choices that are based in who you are at your core, and to get more confident in what you need to do next. So you're in the right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Elizabeth, welcome. Otherwise known as Babble Better. Glad you're here.
Hi.
Do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, apologies for coming in a little bit later. I was like almost forgetting, like, oh yeah, that's today. So hence my just had a shower here.
No worries.
Um, let's see. Yeah, so I live in San Diego. It's actually warm today, it looks like. So we've got good weather today and no fires down here anymore. There was one really close to the border, so it wasn't very close to me, so it was okay. Um, what do I want to work on these 8 sessions? Well, my mom passed away in 23. I'm newly single as of this last weekend, and I'm like free as the wind, which bugs me, but at the same time, I guess people who are otherwise tied up are like, you're so lucky. But I'm like, I would like some roots like that and like just yeah, feeling more like me.
Okay, well, we're here for you, and I'm glad you're able to join. Now, I see that there's some people here that have chosen to not use the video and the audio, but I want to give you the opportunity to talk without the video if you want, or you can just listen. I want this to be a place of comfort, so whatever feels comfortable for you. Sharmila, would you like to just open up your microphone if you don't want to share your video? That's perfectly fine. Just let me know. Shamil.
I'm good. I'm good, actually.
Oh, okay, great.
Can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yes, great to have you here.
Okay.
Share a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Karen. I'm Sharmila from Malaysia. I'm a talent acquisition specialist. So the reason why I'm joining this session is that just hoping if I could, just ignore the bullshit that's happening around us. It could be the politics, governments, companies at work, at school, I just ignore them and truly live for myself. I realized that all my life I have been responsible for others, whether at school, for my family, for my parents, at work. And you're so proud to say that, oh, I'm very responsible, I'm very accountable. But sometimes comes weekend, comes public holidays, I'm so lazy for myself. Like sometimes I think, shouldn't I be living for myself? So I hope I could learn something from here.
Yes, I think that
Yeah.
a lot of people resonate with that too. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Okay, next I'm going to ask if Danica wants to open up her microphone or and you don't have to share the video if you're still not comfortable for that. And you don't even have to talk. You can just absorb by being here. But if you
Good
do,
morning. Sorry, I've got my kiddos this morning. I'm about to walk to
oh,
school.
okay, great.
But I can introduce myself. I am from Vancouver, BC, Canada. I second everyone's sentiment that your invitation came at the perfect time. I've kind of been surviving for the last 5+ years. I'm still going through a really horrible divorce. I had a baby in the height of COVID. Um, Another horrible relationship after, and I just feel like life is just not working out as I expected. And I'm just ready for a big change, but I feel like there's so many things I've been letting go that I have so many things I want to do now. And I'm just having kind of a hard time prioritizing it, but I'm ready, I'm excited, and I'm so happy and grateful to be here. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you're here too. And then I think last we have Phyllis. Did she leave? Is Phyllis here? I know she didn't have her camera on or her microphone on, but oh, she might have popped in and then popped out. Okay. So I wanted everybody to get to know each other a little bit. And I'm sure as you heard each other's stories, there are elements of everybody's story that we can all relate to. I relate to a little bit of what everybody shared. And it's good for me to know so I can gear the lessons to help each of you and also gear the conversation in the community to help each of you. So as you probably figured out by now, I'm fascinated by the perks of death awareness, but it's not because I had some dramatic near-death experience. There was no tunnel of light, no out-of-body moment where I floated above myself and thought, I really should have moisturized more. None of that. I experienced something far scarier. I had a near life experience. Now you're probably wondering, what on earth is a near life experience? Well, it's this thing that many of us do, where you're technically alive. You're here, your heart's beating, your lungs are doing their thing, but you're not actually living. You're just kind of life adjacent. You're on autopilot. So you're going through the motions, work, text, eat, sleep, but you're not fully present. You're phoning it in, like literally phoning it in because you're on your phone too much. Or maybe you're not mesmerized by your phone, but you're still not present. You're at your monthly book club, but while others are dissecting the author's themes, you're dissecting your last conversation with your teenager, or you're at a barbecue, but instead of tasting the burgers, you're chewing on the bitterness of some unresolved conflict. Or you're at a dinner with a loved one, but while they're sharing heartfelt stories, your mind is replaying stressful emails from work. And then there's the other type of near life experience where you nearly live the life you want, but you put off important things till someday. You plan to reconnect with old friends over dinner, but as the night approaches, you're overwhelmed by the energy it takes to be on, so you cancel. Or you think about returning to school to chase a deferred dream, but then you choke on the what ifs of failing or starting too late. Or you keep meaning to call your parents more often, but every time you think about it, you suddenly remember you need to clean something immediately. Or you tell yourself that someday you'll try something new as soon as new stops being synonymous with terrifying. Can you relate? Which of these types of near life experiences do you struggle with most? If anybody wants to pop in and share, just raise your hand and I'll call on you, or I can just keep going. Can you relate? Just say, like, yes, you relate. I'm sure you relate to some of these. Yes, yes. Okay, I see you nodding. All right. No worries. I'm here and I'm going to help you. And I got just the tool. It's death awareness. Now, I know a lot of you think like death, it's not exactly a fun topic, but I'm going to use humor so it will feel more approachable. And I'm doing it for a reason. Death can really breathe new life into you. So heads up, we're going to be talking a lot about death in the next few weeks, but I'm going to reframe how you view it. Instead of viewing death awareness as morbid, you're going to start to see it as motivating. Okay? You're going to discover that death awareness is a powerful life hack. And I found this out the hard way when I lost my dad about 2 decades ago. And the quick story about this is that when my dad died, I'm not going to read the slide, I'm just going to talk to you guys. After my dad died, I kind of started reassessing my life. It made me very aware that people can go at any time. And so I started to just like want to say I love people more. I kind of upped my vulnerability more, my bravery more. And I realized that death is what I call an excellent alarm clock. And in particular, it woke me up to the idea of starting a family, which was something that I thought I had all the time in the world to do. And when my dad passed, it really kind of broke my heart that I didn't even have a kid yet, that he wasn't going to meet my kid. It really broke my heart. And I thought it was time to finally step it up and have a kid. And that it's actually because of my father's death that I wound up having my son, Ari. He woke me up to wanting to have a family. Death cracks something open in you. That's what death awareness does. And on an ironic or weird note, my son was born on August 27th, 4 years to the exact day that my dad died. My dad died on August 27th, which I thought was like a wink from him. So I know a lot of you already shared a bit about the death experiences in your life and what it's, how it's working and how it's feeling. Does anybody want to share something in this point about a way that your experiences with death have woken you up in some way? Does
I'd
anybody?
love to share something.
Please, yes.
To somebody, and I can't say who, very recently got diagnosed with cancer, and someone very, very close to me. And it woke me up in a way that, and this sound, and maybe you'll understand, maybe you won't, but if they did die tomorrow, they've accomplished so much. They have had a full career and a full life doing what they loved. And I'm going to cry. And it woke me up to the fact that I've been sidelining my dreams and dipping in and out of them my entire life. And I couldn't say that for myself. And it was a big wake-up call a couple of months ago.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it does. It's very powerful. Anybody else want to share? And Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it's different. It's not only the death of other people, but especially during the COVID and also after the COVID until now, one night that I felt some symptoms that could be COVID. And at that moment, I realized, what if I am not going to make it? I felt okay, except those symptoms, but they were severe enough to make me think. And I realized how much I postponed some things or whatever. It became much urgent, and it also became much urgent a couple of months last 2 years who have been very, very crazy, that I got a lot of stress, and although I thought I could manage it very well, and my body didn't, so I had a lot of irregulation in my heartbeat and that kind of things. And really, it's such a thing that it wasn't clear if really there was something very serious or just to investigate what it was. And at that moment, I was also, okay, so I could be deaf tomorrow or next days. How and I'm going to do that? And to other things like that. So it's mostly when I was confronted with my own mortality. And it was funny at that moment that I decided, okay, it's really serious to do what I want to do or am saying I want to do for myself. And when I took those steps, those symptoms were gone. There were no consequences. But at the moment, it was really so strong that I could feel I could be dead in an hour or next day or whatever. And how am I going to deal with that? But it also helped me to deal with that, to say, okay, I cannot do anything, that just give over. So it helped me in that way also.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I'm sure COVID has a lot of wake-up calls for a lot of people, definitely. Well, I've
I
share?
I was going to too. Okay.
I was just gonna say, like, I
Yes.
didn't realize it until I was at the front of my mom's funeral walking with my dad. The first time I walked down the aisle was for my mom's funeral. So that sucked.
Yeah, I think that's why it hits a lot of us, I'll say like 45 and up, because when our parents start to, prove to be fragile humans.
And she was the strong one. She was the one that kept
Well,
everyone
yeah. I mean, they
together.
start off strong and then we watch them. Yeah. No, I relate to, yes. Yeah, I'm not saying your mom was fragile to begin with. I'm just saying
Yeah.
when,
But I'm saying she was like the glue. She was the
yeah.
caretaker. She was the director. She was my dad was always the quiet one in the back corner, right? And then all of a sudden, then she's the one that had the issues. Yeah.
It's really it's no other words for it but a wake-up call. And then it reminds us of our own mortality, so it has this ripple effect into our lives. Well, I've been using mortality awareness ever since my dad's passing, to help myself, to motivate myself, to put a little fire underneath my tush. And I've been sharing it with one-on-one clients already. And I'm going to tell you, the tools that I'm sharing have been proven to work. So I'm going to be kind of lovingly jump-starting mortality awareness in your life in a safe way. You know, you're not going to feel depressed. You're going to feel motivated. And when you start to feel like aware that life is finite, you really do stop putting things off to someday, and you become what I call a choosy or a choice chooser about how you spend your time and who you spend it with. And you start noticing the beauty in small things. So you start to live different. I'm not going to read all the slides because I loved getting to know you. So I'm going to move forward trying to self-edit as we go to make up for fitting all this in the right amount of time. So ironically, when you become death aware, you become a life enthusiast. Death is definitely the ultimate wake-up call. So after I realized this, I started to create intentional mortality awareness tools, which I'm going to be sharing with you. For example, I wrote my own eulogy. I crafted an epitaph that I kind of use as my life mantra to keep me going. I have what I call daily to die lists, which are different than to-do lists and different than bucket lists. They're more like what actually matters most lists. I'm going to be teaching you how to create those. And then there's other tools that I'm going to be sharing as we move forward. Like there's going to be a mortality marble jar, and there's even going to be a fun jar. So I have a lot of tools up my sleeve that I think you're really going to love. And when I started to use these tools, a lot of areas of my life improved. My relationship with my partner, with my son, with my mother. Oh my gosh, my relationship with my mother has strangely and wonderfully improved in such a way that I would almost call it a miracle. And when I share these with my clients, that also happened. They suddenly had the guts to quit jobs or start a business or travel more or get that degree. So I'm really excited to share these tools with you. They've been proven to work. Now, to help you with this death acceptance process, I've invited a surprise celebrity guest into this group coaching call. My favorite Greek philosopher, Aristotle. And if you guys have been with me before from the mastermind, then you might already know that I have a platonic crush on Aristotle, so much so that I even named my son Ari as a wink to Aristotle. And I credit him for sharing a lot of philosophies that have helped me to live better, to improve my life. So one of them from Aristotle was, he believed that you must begin all projects with the final ends in mind. Everything from projects as small as bake sales to that gigantic project called your life. He called this telos, when you focus on the ends in mind, which is a way of saying, figure out what your ultimate goal for a project is, then aim yourself at this goal. So if you're going to write a book, you think this way, and you should think the same way about your life. So he said, shall we not, like archers who have a mark to aim at, be more likely to hit upon what is right? Meaning if you don't have a clear target to aim at, you're just going to be shooting arrows into the wind. You're not going to be living intentionally. You're going to be moved around by the whims of life. And when it came to the ultimate bullseye for your life, Aristotle thought the goal was the same for all of us. Become your best possible self. So he thought that everybody, whether you're from Toledo to Timbuktu, we all are here to learn, grow, and become the best versions of ourselves. That's what the end goal of life should be. So how do you accomplish this mission? Well, according to Aristotle, you must regularly focus on the very end of your life, your deathbed scene. You must learn how to be good in deathbed, so to speak. Wink, wink. So here's how to be good in deathbed. And we're going to be working on this together. We're not going to, accomplish all of this in this first call, but I'm setting the scene for you. We're going to be doing this. Envision yourself as the highest potential person you want to become, then hit rewind. You're going to reverse engineer it. What did you do to get there? Who were you with that mattered? What habits, choices, values shaped your life? Then we're going to work backwards and figure out what you need to be doing right now so you can end up as someone who is good in deathbed. And I have a whole system for you to do this. For Aristotle, one of the main secrets was to choose strong core values and good habits that your soul can be proud of again and again and again. So Aristotle put it like this: shall we not, like archers who have a mark to aim at, be more likely to hit upon what is right? Meaning, if you don't have a clear target to aim at, you're just shooting arrows into the wind. Aristotle also warned that many people mess this up. Instead of aiming at the right target, they get distracted by shiny, ego-driven nonsense. They decide their life mission is to become the richest person on the planet, or to become the sexiest person alive, or to achieve ultimate fame and power. Unfortunately, if you choose these ego-directed, lower-level pursuits, then you will wind up with a rude awakening on your deathbed. You'll realize you chased the wrong rabbits. You chased superficial, glittering, hollow goals that looked important from a distance, but left you feeling empty once you got them. You feel like your life lacked meaning and purpose and fulfillment, true fulfillment. You wasted your one wild, precious life on stuff that didn't matter. And because of that, you didn't become your highest potential self. In fact, you might have missed that mark by a long shot. So if your telos, your ultimate goal, is money, fame, beauty, sex, or power, then you might wind up lying, cheating, and stepping on people to win those things at all costs. You'll have low integrity. You might choose to go the low integrity route. And in the process, you'll sell your soul, ending up with what I jokingly call a sold soul, which is a brittle knockoff version of you held together with duct tape and regret. So the lesson, if you want to be good in deathbed, you must aim your life at the right target, becoming the best possible version of you. The problem is, most of us never stop to think about our future selves. We live for now us and forget that there's a future us who's counting on us not to be idiots. As Yogi Berra wisely warned, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else. So the solution is you have to spend more time thinking about future you. And studies report that when you focus on future you, you actually live far better. It's really interesting studies. One in particular, there was a study that researchers showed participants a glimpse of their future selves using the digital wizardry of a face aging app. They showed people what they would look like several decades down the line. Wrinkles, age spots, the worst. Then something really remarkable happened. People who confronted their future age selves were more likely to save for retirement rather than spend their money on immediate gratification. It was as if coming face to face with their future faces ultimately slapped some sense into them, like a cinematic moment where old them traveled back in time and shook young them by the shoulders and yelled, "Wake up, stop blowing all of our cash." So the takeaway, when you confront the reality, Alexa, stop. One second. I realized I didn't turn off Alexa. 1 second.
From your calendar.
Actually, later you're going to hear me say how I use Alexa with some of my tools, but that's going to come next week. When you confront the reality of future you think about your present choices differently. Become more motivated to improve your daily habits to make future you happier. Now, I'm explaining this for a very specific reason. Coming up, I'm going to ask you to do something that might sound a little weird. I'm going to ask you to write your own eulogy. So that's going to be our first assignment here. Writing your eulogy works for the same reason as that face aging app, except writing your eulogy is like cranking that up to 11 because you're not just meeting your older self, you're coming face to face with your deathbed self. When you write your eulogy, you're forced to stop pretending that future you does not exist. And so you begin to ask some meaningful questions. What and who matters to me the most? How can I live more true to myself, which I heard some of you say? Where am I settling? Some of you talked about that too, or veering off course. And you'll quickly gain clarity on what you got to do to make future you proud. Best of all, I've devised a way to shake off any creepy crawlies about writing your eulogy. So I'm going to make it playful, enjoyable, and simple. I'm going to give you a fill in the blank, like a Mad Libs eulogy template. And you're just going to fill in the blanks, and then you're going to have a eulogy that's going to double as a blueprint for the ideal life you want to live. And I've written my own eulogy. I'm going to show that to you next session, because you're all going to go away and write your eulogy. And if you don't want to, that's okay. You can just kind of look at it and think about it. But I wrote mine, and I read it a lot, and it really does help me a lot. I've also given this assignment to private clients. They absolutely love this. So at first you might be resistant, but I'm going to ask you to try to push forward with it. But if you don't want to write the eulogy, I get it. All of the coaching sessions will still work, whether you write the eulogy or you don't, but I do recommend you write it. Writing a eulogy is a powerful reality check, because it forces you to break free from someday purgatory and start living a life that won't piss off future you. I want you to think of this eulogy as your life's mission statement. It helps you to define your passions, your purpose, aspirations for life well lived. It serves as a reminder of who you are at your core. And speaking of that word core, your eulogy is also a core value awakener, reminding you which core values you most want to embrace. And, it sounds like, thinking about it, what Deborah said about going to Deborah, did you go to a funeral? Was it when you heard her eulogy that you started to feel like, I have to, as somebody else said, kick it up a notch? Deborah, was it listening to that person's inspiring eulogy that made you even think, even maybe subconsciously, God, what will my eulogy have on it? I'm just wondering, when you shared that about the other person.
Oh, yeah. No, they haven't passed away yet.
Oh, they didn't pass away yet. They're just, they're near. Okay.
They're just, yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, because I've been to eulogies and I'm like, what are they going to say? I remember this. There was one person's eulogy that I was like, wow, I got some work to do. So writing your eulogy, it's kind of works like a vision board on steroids, because it's so real and so emotional and the more you include your emotions in what you write, the more likely you're going to do it. And a eulogy has that more than a vision board. Vision board might get you excited, maybe, but a eulogy makes it feel like a must, So when you write your eulogy, you're going to see, did I go through one? No. When you write your eulogy, you're going to see things like, you might decide that, oh, you know what, maybe I want to do charity work. I'm not doing enough around charity. Or, you know what, I think it's time to go back to school for something. Or maybe you're going to realize you want a different job or a different family situation. And current you isn't there right now. So I don't want you to worry when you first write your eulogy. I want you to dream big and know that what I'm going to help you to do is create small bridge habits to get you from current you to aspirational eulogy you. But I'm speeding ahead, but I want you to know you're going to see some gaps. But that's the point of this coaching. We're going to help you to figure out the small bridge habits that you have to do to get from current you to aspirational eulogy you. So don't panic. If you write the eulogy and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got a lot of work to do, don't worry. We're going to do it with small, doable bridge habits to get you there. For now, I just want you to look at the eulogy template that I'm going to be sharing and dream big. And I'm going to be putting the eulogy template inside the school community after this call. Okay. So again, heads up, If the idea of filling in this eulogy stresses you out, you don't have to. This isn't like one of those, you must complete this level to unlock the rest of the coaching. You can totally just read through the eulogy and simply think about what you'd write if it's just too much for you, or if you don't have time. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I didn't do my quote unquote homework, so I can't come to the next session. I don't want you to feel like that. You can just even come to the sessions and not do any work in between. But I do think writing the eulogy will be helpful. So in summary, eulogy exercise is optional, just like wearing pants while joining this Zoom call is optional. So, but for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick squishy peek at what the eulogy template will look like. It will look prettier when you get it in the back end of school. And I want you to notice that I have a lot of core values back here. Core values, when you look at it, like at the Madeline template, a lot of it is about core values, close relationships, passions, vision, hopes, strongly held beliefs, talents, achievements. These are the things that we're going to be looking at. So, and in particular, we're going to be looking at core values. They are going to be the quiet heroes in the narrative of you at your best. And it's something we might know we have core values, but we don't know what they are. And I'm going to help shed light on what your top core values are. And that is going to be one of the secrets of why what I'm going to teach you is going to work so well, because your core values are going to be game changers for you. Okay, I'm just going to tease you a little bit with that. They're the principles you will live by, the roadmap that will guide you from I wish to I will. And in fact, you're going to be using your core values when you write what I call your to-die list, okay? And we're going to be doing that today. I'm going to be helping you to figure out how to write your to-die list. So what's a to-die list? It's sort of like a to-do what matters most list, but it's definitely not a to-do list. And the difference is, like, a to-do list is important. You need those things, but it's like the footnotes of your life. Like, no one at your funeral is going to stand up and say she was a legend at clearing her inbox, or let's take a moment to remember her punctual dentist appointments. Like, this is not what people are going to remember you for. So a to-do list is about making sure you pick up your dry cleaning, and a to-die list is about making sure you pick up your core values. So you can confidently say, I lived a life I'm proud of. And your core values are going to go on your to-die list. I'm going to explain it to you. So here's how you write your to-die list. This is a process that I do every day, and it's really improved how I live my days. So I want you to look at your current life and your aspirational life. And even if you haven't written your eulogy, you can look at what you want to have in your life. And then I want you to ask yourself this prompt at the top of a piece of paper or inside of your computer, however you choose to write. Who do I need to become to get everything I want for my life? Or you can tailor it to a specific goal. Who do I need to become to write that screenplay? Who do I need to become to spend more time doing volunteer work? Who do I need to become to write a marathon, to run a marathon? Or you can use it to tackle a current problem. Who do I need to become to stop fighting with my partner? Who do I need to become to be the best mom I can be? So the key is to keep the focus first on who do I need to become? So anybody want to share one, or I'll just keep going because we're actually we ran a little over on time. So I'll just keep going and we can talk about this more next session. So after you ask yourself, who do you need to become? We're going to work on figuring out your top core values. All right. And we're going to be doing this more next session. This is more like explaining the basics of what we're going to be digging into interactively next session. So we're going to think of what your core values are that will help you to become a screenwriter, a better mom, a better partner, whatever it is, to write a novel, to whatever is the thing that aspirational you is going to do. So let me explain why you need core values to do this. Frank Sinatra famously sang Doobie Doobie Doo, which is a great tune, but as far as personal development goes, totally backwards. If you want to live your happiest life, you got to flip it to be do, be do, be do. You have to focus first on who you're being before you worry about what you're doing. And here's why. Right now, your eulogy likely inspires some amazing goals like enjoy rewarding relationships, create a lasting legacy like a novel or other creative work, or give back through charity. But here's the truth. It's all going to crash and burn if you have negative qualities, if you're undisciplined, if you're disorganized, if you're cold-hearted, if you're indifferent, fearful, impatient, self-loathing. Now, I'm not saying that you are those things, but sometimes these negative qualities can sneak up on us. And the good news is you'll have a much better shot at becoming your aspirational self if you intentionally embrace positive core values like disciplined, organized, warm, empathic, courageous, patient, confident, meaning you need to prioritize being lots of positive core values in order to start doing those aspirational habits in your eulogy. Second. So know this now. Your identity shapes your destiny. Who you think you are will influence what you wind up doing. For example, if you think I am a sloppy person, you're going to act like a sloppy person. If you think I'm a neat person, then you're going to do things that a neat person does. So the takeaway is you need to align your identity with positive core values if you want to develop better habits. Now, you might feel like your bad habits are running the show, but in truth, it's always your identity that is the puppet master. Your identity is what pulls the strings of your habits, not the other way around. There's an entire area of psychology about this known as identity-based habits, which reports how your identity pulls the strings on your habits. So there's William B. Swan. He's a respected social psychologist, and he coined the term self-verification theory around this. So he found that we're hardwired to prove who we think we are through our actions. So this can be dangerous. Like if you grew up thinking you're unlovable, guess what? You're going to do the habits and the actions and have the relationships of an unlovable person. If you believe you're disciplined, then you're going to do disciplined things. And if you think you're creative, you're going to do creative things to confirm it. So your identity works like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Who you think you are determines what you choose to do. So there's a really interesting study that supports this. The Journal of Consumer Research published this report. They wanted to figure out how to encourage people to vote more. So they divided people into two groups, and the first group was encouraged to think of themselves as voters and to fall in love with the identity of being a voter. And the second group was simply encouraged to vote. That's it. Well, guess which group had the higher turnout? The first group, the people who identified with being a voter, were more likely to show up at the polls. So the lesson, if you want to kickstart better habits, you have to start by developing a positive self-identity first and foremost. You got to be do, be do, be do. Sorry, Frank. So this is how this works. And this is what I'm going to teach you to do. We're going to do this more in the second session, but I want to get you thinking about it now. This is the template for creating what's called an identity-based habit. So I want you to think of I am core value, and so I do a habit. So when you link your identity to the habit, that's the magic that's going to make the habits stick. Partially because there's a cognitive dissonance if you don't do it. Like, I am loving, and so I call my mother every Sunday. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm loving. I have to call. Like, it creates a cognitive dissonance in you if you are saying, this is what I value, and then you don't do it. So here's another example. when I reread my aspirational eulogy, I described myself as a wellness enthusiast, but current me was not walking the wellness walk at all. I had what I euphemistically was calling my pregnancy weight, but in reality, this was my I eat too much crappy food weight because my son at this point was an ancient 2 years old. So it had nothing to do with pregnancy. It had to do with the fact that I was eating too much pizza and pretzel goldfish. So I journaled and I decided as I was journaling that the core value that mattered most to me, one of my top core values, was being discerning. Professionally, I'm discerning. I care deeply about the quality of my books and my online courses. And I came up with this. I realized I was discerning while I was shoveling pizza because I was working on a book and the colors were coming through in the paper. The paper wasn't thick enough because I have a lot of graphics in my books. And I was telling the publisher, we need to get a thicker, toothier paper with the colors. And I realized that I was being very picky and discerning about the paper that I wanted, but I was eating in a way that was not discerning. And I'm also discerning about my clothes. I love finding really cool clothes. But when it came to food, I was not being discerning. I was not living up to the choices of someone who values discernment. So I wrote this in my journal. I am discerning, and so I eat foods that keep me at a healthy weight. And I linked it. I know I value being discerning. So when I had the urge to eat the pizza or the pretzel goldfish, I'm like, no, wait, I am discerning. And oddly enough, that really motivated me. Again, I think it's also because it's a little bit of cognitive dissonance. Wait, I am discerning. I do value. I'm not going to eat that. So I started writing this identity-based statement in my journal every morning, and it stuck. And I became pickier about the food that I ate, but that's not it. That's not the end of the story about this identity-based habit stuff. I was writing it about food to get myself to be more discerning about food, but the identity of discerning wound up leaking into other areas of my life. I started to get pickier about who I spent my time with. I started decluttering my home and throwing out old furniture and old clothes. So once you get this identity of that core value in your mind, it actually creates a shift in how you do a lot of things. And I'm really excited to be sharing this system with you. So as it turns out, discernment isn't the only game changer core value for me. Over the years, I have 7 core values that I love, and I'm going to be sharing them with you. But I also want you to think about what your top core values are. So I want you to make sure that I'm not just, I want you to be you-ier. So everybody's going to have their own distinct core values, but I am going to recommend these 7. I think that they're kind of universally important. And if you're struggling to do this assignment, no worries. Just come to the next session and we'll do it together. I want the sessions to be interactive. The first one was a little difficult because, as I said at the front, I wanted to have shared vocabulary and shared philosophy before we started to get into like the interactive coaching part. So if you want, just show up next week and we will figure out together what your I am and so I do statements will be. We'll go over your eulogy and we'll brainstorm everything and I'll make it fun. Okay, so we've come to the end of this whole we're all going to die spiel. And guess what? No one ran for the exit. So that's a win. Now I want you to leave here, not just freaked out about the Grim Reaper lurking somewhere in your future, but excited about the life you're going to create. I don't want you to die with the music inside you. Some people spend their lives with their hands over their ears, blocking out their own inner music. Don't let that be you. It's time to make sure you pay attention to that music within you. I want you to put your was here mark on this planet. So I want you to stop waiting for the fear to go away in order to start living your ideal life. And here's the thing, as soon as you begin doing what you got to do, the fear will go away. And I'll just tell you personally, I was like nervous to start new technology, the school community, and I was nervous to create like a whole new kind of mastermind. As soon as I started doing it, the fear went away and I started to get excited about it. And that's going to happen for you guys too. So do whatever you can to create your ideal life, or you're going to spend eternity as a pissed off ghost. And I don't want you to be a pissed off ghost. Remember, we're not promised an endless pile of tomorrow. So we've got to use the time that we have wisely. So we're just getting started. Next session, we're going to dig into your core values. We're going to dig into your eulogies if you choose to write yours. And any which way, I'm going to be helping you to get a better sense of who aspirational you is and what makes them happy. So does anybody have questions that you want to ask me? You can raise your hand and ask me, or anything you want to even comment on that stood out the most. Any surprises here? Anybody?
I actually have had a little mantra starting, or just kind of a concept sparker that whatever follows, I am. Like, I am tired, I am sick, I am successful. Whatever follows, I am, follows you. Our brains believe us when we talk. So, oh gosh, who is it? Tell Yourself a Better Lie. It's the title of a book.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Oh my God, Marissa Peer.
Oh, yes, she's good. She's good. I like that.
Yep, she's terrific. And I'm taking her RTT course as well, so that I can crank up my hypnotherapy credentials.
Yeah, and if you have, by the way, if you have like a hard resistance to writing something, then, like, for example, let's say I have a problem with being organized or whatever, and I write, I am organized, and so I, organize my books in color order. I'm making something up that I would never do, but I would then take the word organized, and I actually say this, and I will bring this to you on purpose later. I'm just saying it now. I write down next to it, the old me used to not be organized, but the new me is organized. So that way it feels believable, because some of the core values that you might be choosing might feel too aspirational. So the way to get there is to, like, at least admit to yourself, okay, the old me used to be that way, but the new me is organized. And you'll see yourself wanting to embrace it more when you set that up as sort of a realistic framework. So, and I do think it creates a cognitive dissonance that reminds you why it's important. Like, an example, a friend of mine was having a birthday party in Connecticut, my friend Danielle, and I don't drive a car. I'm like one of these like New York women that my license plate, my driver's license expired. I don't have a car, and so I didn't know how to get to Connecticut. And I thought, oh, I have to get to Connecticut for the birthday party. Oh, and then I told myself, I am a loving person, and so I find a way to get to Connecticut. And it helped to motivate me to go to her birthday party, which I knew mattered to me, because meaningful relationships matter to me. As you write your aspirational eulogy, you become very aware of how important meaningful relationships are in your life. So just even writing or even thinking, I'm a loving person, and so of course I find a way to get myself to Connecticut. So it's a way to make sure that you're choosing your habits and not just, letting your impulses direct your habits. Anybody else have something to say about this?
Yeah, I just wanted to share really quick, so I can so relate to all this, is that I've said for years and years, I'm not a tech person. I am not a tech person. And somebody said to me, Deborah, you got to stop saying that. Like, you really, because exactly what I am, what follows you, follows the name. Anyway, so I stopped doing it about a year ago. And I every time I went to say it, I stopped saying it. I got better at tech. And the next piece of that is that every time I figured something out, like in Kajabi, I said, wow, I'm really good at tech. So every time I acknowledged myself and started getting more and more evidence that I was actually pretty dang good at it. And I'm getting better all the time. So
I love that. There is momentum to that. And it also happens with bravery. Once you do one brave thing, even if you don't even know you're thinking it, and you accomplish a brave thing, you're like, oh, what brave next, what brave thing can I do next? Like you start, but that's because in your mind, you've already accepted I'm a brave person. I do brave things. And then you wind up, it snowballs, you know? So yeah, so you jumpstart it by thinking about the core values that matter most to you, writing them down and thinking about them on a daily basis. And sometimes they even just become like a one-word mantra. But I'm going to help you write, oddly enough, epitaphs, which are like a whole sentence. Like my epitaph for me to speed ahead is love is the bread and butter of my life. Love is my top core value. So I have to make sure that I'm living by it daily. And sometimes just having like a saying like that in my head, it helps me make choices and think about who I want to be in the moment, and it stops me. So, anybody else have something to share about all of this? How are you feeling right now? How many of you want to write your eulogies? Oh, good. Oh, good. Excellent. So I'm going to be putting that in the back end, and we'll go through them together. Next week is going to be more interactive with that. We're going to go through each other's eulogies, and then we're going to apply how to write your I am and so I do statements as bridge habits to get you from current you to aspirational eulogy you. So any other questions back here before we get going? Okay.
Yes, I actually have a housekeeping question.
Oh,
Are
yes.
we looking at a meeting time of about an hour a week?
Yes, I'm going to try to keep it at about an hour. We went a little bit over, but and you know what? I'm open if the group is open. If it feels like, because I want it to be interactive, that and because I wanted everybody to get to know each other. Like if it has to be an hour and 15 minutes or even an hour and 20 minutes, I'm fine with doing that. But I know people have busy lives, and I said it would be an hour, so I'll try to stick to an hour. But if it works out better and you guys are game for it, I'm happy to stay on a little bit extra. We'll figure it out together.
So I have a habit that I've been like fighting, that I'm trying to figure out what to do. Because like I'll sit down on the couch and before I know it, I'm waking up at like 2, 3, 4 a.m. and it's like it's not even a choice, because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna watch a little bit, right? Or just finish eating, or I'm just like sat down, I'm gonna go get some work done, work on the computer, and then I don't even get to it and I don't intentionally fall asleep. I just kind of get comfortable, and next thing I know, I'm waking up. Like, and then I get up and like, okay, now it's time to brush my teeth and get ready for bed. But it's like, how do you get to that, point where you're like, I'm not gonna sit down? Because I mean, like at some point, you would think you'd be able to sit down without falling asleep, but I don't feel tired until I'm waking up. Like, oh, I guess I was tired. Like something like that. That's not intentional. It's not a habit. Like what is it that I can do ahead of time? And I tell myself like, okay, I'm not gonna put my feet up or something like that. But even then, it's just like without even realizing it, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm asleep with my feet on the ground. Or you know what I mean? Like, what the heck? Maybe I just need to go to bed, right? Instead of watching TV on the couch. I don't know.
Okay, well, what we would do is in your eulogy, we're going to create that you were the type of person who, and then accomplish things. Like I want you to think about what you could be doing with that time. So we'd have to back into it about like what you want your life to be. Like for me, I'm going to bring it to me because I don't know enough about what your larger picture is yet for your eulogy. But for me, my eulogy, meaningful relationships and being there for my friends, and I wrote out a whole thing about it. I'm going to share mine too, so it will give you a sense, is so important to me. So for example, with the thing with my friend Danielle and her birthday in Connecticut, I'll tell you, the old me might have just been like, oh, it's too hard to get to Connecticut. I could see myself maybe having done that. But because I have the large vision of meaningful friendships and meaningful relationships in my eulogy as somebody that's known for that, I then link it to that thing. And then it helps me in that moment. But it's also linked to a larger vision of how I see my life and the importance of meaningful relationships. So we need to find something meaningful that gets you off there. And the other thing is, oddly enough, in the coaching sessions, you're going to learn some time management things because life is finite. So we have to get smarter about how we're using our finite time. And oddly enough, I wound up creating an almost like a time management system. Like we're going to do an audit of the crap and clutter in your life and how you be awake to where that is and how to get rid of it. But some of my time management, remember the thing I told you about Alexa? I use her to remind me to do things. So if I were about to be on the sofa, I would tell her to wake me up in 10 minutes. And sometimes I'll have her tell me why. And I use Alexa. I'm going to tell you something really embarrassing, which my son teases me about, to remind me about the goofiest things. I was watching this Ramit Sethi interview. He talks about conscious spending. And I was like, oh, I got to be more of a conscious spender, like I sometimes am an impulse spender, So every morning, all he does, all Alexa does, Alexa says I think it's at 7 a.m., conscious spending. And she just says that into the air. And then I go about my day with that in my brain. And I think sometimes it helps not just to write things down, but to get your other senses, to make it auditory, to hear it too. And Alexa also reminds me to drink water. So I use Alexa as a loving nudge to get me. And I use her with my core values. And I will write my exact I am and so I do statement into my Google Calendar. And then I attach my Google Calendar to Alexa so she can repeat back to me my exact I am and so I do statement to get me motivated to do it. So I have a lot of quirky little time management tools and core value resuscitator tools to make sure that you're doing the core values that are most important to you. So I don't know if that answered that, but we will be getting into how to trick yourself into being more motivated. I've got a lot of tricks up my sleeve.
That works, sure.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. Well, I'm really excited for you guys to show up next week with your eulogies. And when you fill in your eulogy, then you'll start to think about what your core values are. And then I'm going to tell you what my favorite 7 are. And we're going to see if you guys have any of my top 7 on your list. And I'm really super excited for you to learn these tools because I really feel it's going to help you. There's more also. I mean, it was hard for me to figure out how to separate everything I want to tell you into 8 one-hour lessons, but I think I managed to do it. But I can also go rogue and talk about many other things that are philosophies of mine on how to use mortality awareness to live a more bold and full life. So thank you guys for coming. I'm also going to be figuring out how to use the community to its fullest. So you have support throughout the week and put some fun stuff back there. So, and if you have any suggestions, I'm open to it as well, because this is my first time using the school community. So I'm open to your input and feedback.
Actually, Karen, if you don't mind, I just wanted to suggest maybe, and sorry, I kind of got cut out earlier because my battery died. So I don't know if you spoke about this, but I'm fine with this being longer than an hour. So I'm wondering if you want to have the materials or the exercises that you need to get through within that hour. And then if you're available also, anybody that can stay after for Q&A or further discussions afterwards, like I'd be happy to be able to do that too.
How would you guys feel if I intentionally made it 90 minutes instead of 60 minutes? Are a lot of you good with that? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Then I'm happy to do that. I'm trying to figure this out, and it is a rich conversation that I want to have with you. And I think after today, I'm realizing 90 minutes might be the best way to go. So I'm open to that. I want this to be really, gotta tell you, life-changing. I really want this to be the thing that kicked you up a couple notches for your life. So, okay. All righty. Any more questions before we part ways for this first session? Okay, great. All right. I'm excited, and I'll see you inside the school community, and then I'll see you via Zoom next Friday.
Okay, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Karen. You're the best.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Karen. See you next week.
Thank you.